Dynamo Nation, what's going on? My name is James. Thank you for being with me on this episode today. If you're new to the channel, new to Dynamo Nation, welcome. We appreciate you being here. If you're not subscribed, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Definitely helps out the channel, helps me pump out more Dynasty content like this. Dynamo Nation, you requested it, you asked for it, and it is here. This is the Superflex version of the Dynasty rookie hit rate video we did about a week ago. If you missed that, I'm going to link it down in the description. Go check it out. Let's get right into it. I'm going to throw our first table up on the screen so you can see where this data came from. We are looking at ADP rookie drafts for Superflex leagues from 2017 through 2019, and these are only going to encompass the months of May and June. If you're in a Dynasty league, you should be drafting in one of those 2 months. Normally right after the NFL draft. If you want to push it to June, that's fine. Beyond that, you're just not doing it right. So we can see that this data came from Superflex leagues, obviously. These are 12-team leagues. These are 1-point PPR leagues, and these are 6-point per touchdown leagues. So the criteria is pretty much the same as the last time. The major difference is obviously this is a Superflex, and there's no IDP. So let's recap what our hit rate looks like and what we're going to consider a hit. Let's throw that up. We can take a look at it together. So for a top 5 pick, that has to be a transformational roster foundation type of player, someone we can absolutely build around. If they're not that, they're not going to be considered a hit. In the first round, we need to have one top 12 finish within 3 seasons. Second round, we need to have one top 18 finish within 3 seasons. Third round, a top 24 finish within 3. And fourth and fifth rounds, one top 36 finish in the first 3 seasons. The only change that I made to this after I looked at our first video is the tight end position in the first round. Top 12, it's not very hard to get into that top 12 for a tight end. And if you're a first round pick in tight end status, I need to see a top 6 finish within the first 3 seasons for you to be considered a hit. So tight end, I made that a little bit more stringent than the first time around. I think that's the right way to do it. I started looking at the players that were considered hits, first round picks from the tight end. There was TJ Hawkinson, David Njoku, Noah Fant. While Fant and Njoku have both had top 10 finishes so far, they're not in the same category as a TJ Hawkinson. They're just not, especially in Dynasty. So took those 2 out of it. Hawk is going to be our 1. So with that being said, let's get right into it. I'm going to start off a little differently this time. I want to show you guys right away who are the notable players in the 3rd round. 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds is what we're going to do right off the bat. Let's show them. Let's throw them up on the screen. You can take a look. Our 3rd round notable players in Superflex drafts over the course of 2017 to 2019. We are looking at Mark Andrews, an absolute stud of a tight end. Andrews is, in my opinion, he's probably Dynasty number 2 in the tight end situation right now. He is a stud. You know, he's got Lamar Jackson's confidence. That offense feeds him. He is an elite tight end. And the fact that he was a 3rd round pick in Superflex drafts, that's insane. Absolutely insane. Whoever drafted him in that point got a bargain. All right, let's throw it back up. Take a look here. There's some big names on this list. James Conner. James Conner has turned into an absolute stud this season with the Cardinals. Yes, he's one of my main trade targets this year, basically due to that TD regression. There's no way he's going to keep that pace up. But he has turned into and this is not his first time producing. He's had multiple RB1 seasons at this point. 3rd round pick. Cooper Kupp, wide receiver 1 this year in fantasy. He has been an absolute stud himself. Terry McLaurin, another great player, 3rd round pick. So you can see, even in Superflex leagues, there's still a lot of great value that can be had in the 3rd round. A lot of it. We're seeing elite tight ends, elite running back, elite wide receiver play. So it's not all about quarterbacks. You're still going to get that value in the mid rounds. Let's take a look at 4th round. 4th round, still great value here. You're talking about Aaron Jones, who has been an RB1 for several seasons now. Chase Edmonds, who just went off. He's been an RB2 all season this year when he's healthy. Another great value pick. Dawson Knox, another ascending tight end. All right, and then we see Hunter Renfrow. Still, this shows us in the 4th round, we are still getting value in the 4th round in our Superflex rookie drafts. All 4 of these players that we just listed off, these are great players. And if you have them on your team, you know you've probably been starting most of them for a vast majority of the season. The one person on that list, Dawson Knox, maybe is a streamable tight end, but he's still going to finish probably 7 or 8 this year in a standard, PPR non-tight end premium league. So Dawson Knox, Hunter Renfrow, Aaron Jones, Chase Edmonds, there's still a lot of value to be had in these 4th rounds. The 5th round is going to look a little different. Definitely has changed, taking the IDP side of things out of it. We've got 2 hits. We're looking at Tony Pollard and Dalton Schultz. As you can see, those are our only 2 survivors on this screen from those 3 drafts. What more can you say? I mean, Dallas, maybe there's a trend there. Maybe we do need to be looking at who the Cowboys are drafting in those mid-rounds and maybe target them in the 5th round. I don't know. But Dawson Knox, Tony Pollard, those are going to be our notable players that came out of the 5th round. So with all this said, let's take a look at our hit rates for the 1st round in our Dynasty Superflex rookie drafts. Put that table up. You guys can see 17 out of 36 first-round picks for our Superflex drafts in that time frame were hits, considered hits. Only 2 out of 6 quarterbacks were hits in that time frame. 9 out of 16 running backs, 5 out of 10 receivers, and then 1 out of 4 tight ends. You know, we're looking at these quarterbacks, and I was surprised there were only 6 quarterbacks in that time frame that were going in the 1st round in Superflex leagues. But again, this is early. This is May and June. So you're still going to have that running back positional value that gets pushed up in every single draft. And yeah, I mean, you still have some great quarterbacks that went, but I was able to see a trend here with the quarterbacks. 2nd round is where we were getting them at, and we were getting a lot of value. So let's throw our 2nd round QBs up. Well, let's throw our 2nd round draft up. You can take a look at that. Our hit rate. 12 out of 36 picks in the 2nd round were qualified as a hit. 4 out of 7 of those were quarterbacks, though. So that's where our QBs were coming from. Still, only 1 out of 10 running backs were considered a hit in the 2nd round. If you remember the first video, 0 out of 9. So 2nd round RBs we need to avoid. That's what the data is telling us here. 4 out of 15 wide receivers hit in the 2nd round. And then 3 out of 4 tight ends hit in the 2nd round. So again, we're looking in the 2nd round, we're looking at quarterbacks, tight end, then receiver. I am absolutely avoiding running backs at this point in the 2nd round based on ADP. I can't consider this a fluke. Our first video, 0 out of 9. Second video, 1 out of 10. RBs in the 2nd round. And I understand, like I said in the first video, that trend may have changed in the last couple of seasons. You know, Antonio Gibson, there's been a few others. But during that stretch, 2017 to 2019, RBs in that draft class in the 2nd round, that was a terrible, terrible situation for all of us. And if you were reaching on running backs, that's typically what happens. You missed out in the 1st round, you come back to the 2nd, and you reach. We have to stop doing that. The data has proven that we are wasting picks in the 2nd round by reaching for running backs. All right, let's take a look at the 3rd here. 3rd round, it's getting worse and worse here in terms of the hit rates. So 3rd round, we're looking at 8 out of 36 picks. So we went from, 17 in the 1st round to 12 in the 2nd to 8 in the 3rd. So 0 out of 3 quarterbacks in the 3rd round were hits. Only 2 out of 12 running backs, James Conner being one of them, was considered a hit. 5 out of 15 receivers, though. So that's going to be our target zone in the 3rd round is our receivers. And only 1 out of 6 tight ends was considered a hit in the 3rd round. Obviously, the number that jumps out to me, should be jumping out to you, is the 5 out of 15 wide receivers that hit. That's a good rate, 33%. That's going to be our target round, and there's been a lot of good receivers that have come out of the 3rd round. I'll show that table here in a little bit. You guys can take a look at it. But we can obviously see that there's a lot of value there, 3rd round wide receivers. You know, we just went over a couple, Cooper Kupp and Terry McLaurin. So, but again, it's dropping, 17 to 12 to 8. All right, let's throw 4th round up. Let's take a look at it together. We can see in the 4th round, it continues to go down, 6 out of 36. So not a huge drop from the 3rd. So that tells me 3rd and 4th round picks, while they're going to have a different value in terms of what you're trading them for or what you can get for them in a trade, the hit rate is very, very similar. So I'm not going to overpay for a 3rd if I can grab a 4th, knowing that my hit rate is almost the same. But for our 4th round hit rates, 0 out of 5 quarterbacks, 3 out of 14 running backs, remember that number, only 1 out of 10 receivers, and then 2 out of 7 tight ends. What does this information say to me? This tells me that receivers Go in the third round, obviously, because the running backs are getting that positional value in the second, and people are reaching in the second round for those running backs, right? And that's pushing quality receivers into the third round, and we've seen a third round hit rate for receivers. And when those receivers go, that next wave of RBs in the fourth round, that's where we should be targeting those RBs. That's got a better hit rate than the second round, running back draft class so far. You have a better chance in the fourth round on hitting on a running back than you do in the second round. Think about that. And think about the trade value difference between a second round pick and a fourth round pick. It's immense. So definitely that's what this data is telling me so far. Third round's where we get our receivers. Fourth round, our dart throws at running backs. All right. It also is telling me outside of the second round, first and second rounds, do not waste draft picks on quarterbacks, even in the Superflex league. There's been no hits so far. Third, fourth round picks. We're just wasting picks. When we can break this data down and know which rounds to target these players based on ADP, based on historical data, this isn't me making this stuff up. This is data being pulled from actual mock drafts in fantasy leagues. I mean, we have to listen to this stuff. All right. Let's check out the fifth round together. Again, this one was sad for a Superflex league with no IDP. This was real sad. You know, this in the fifth round, and it's 2 out of 36. I mean, you got a better chance of getting struck by lightning than hitting somebody in the fifth round at this point. You know, 1 out of 19 running backs was a hit in the fifth round. That was Tony Pollard. 0 out of 4 quarterbacks. So the quarterback trend continues here. You know, between rounds 3 and 5, what are we looking at here? We're looking at 0 out of 12 quarterbacks. Don't waste your picks, guys. Third, fourth, fifth rounds, do not draft quarterbacks. Let's keep going with the fifth here. 0 out of 7 receivers. That's not good. So we're looking at 1 out of 17 in fourth and fifth round on receivers. I'm definitely not taking that challenge. And then 1 out of 6 tight ends. So again, fifth round is the ultimate dart throw. There's only been 2 hits in between 2017 and 2019. We got Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz. I mean, after that, you can load up on those picks if you don't have IDP. Like, IDP is where you're going to get a lot of hits on that side of the ball in the fifth round. But if you're not playing IDP, those fifth round picks, I mean, they're almost useless at this point. So let's take a look at all of our hits. All right. You guys can kind of see the names, see who are considered hits. Let's throw first round up. We'll rattle through them together. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray. You've got Alvin Kamara, C-Mac, Chubb, Cook, Barkley. I mean, you can see right now a lot of our stud running backs are coming out of that first round, which is not surprising. That's normally where they go. And even our receivers. There's a lot of big-name receivers on this list. A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf. But overall, running back is going to be that spot. Let's take a look at second round. We're just going to run through these together real quick. Pat Mahomes was the second-round pick at this point in ADP. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, these were all second-round picks. And like that draft, what's so crazy about it is you look at that draft with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Like Baker Mayfield was the number 3 pick in Superflex. You had Josh Rosen going at 7 overall. You had Sam Darnold going at like 10 or 11. And then you got to Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen in the second round. And to me, it just goes to show, like, when you have these drafts, 4, 5, 6 first-round quarterbacks, the chances of them being a bust, you know, probably 4 of them are gonna bust out. You know, so like, do we constantly reach in the first round, early first round for quarterbacks if they're gonna flame out? I don't know. I mean, I know in Superflex it's the most important position to have, but if they bomb out and you're passing on stud running backs and stud receivers at the top of the draft, I mean, that's something that we have to talk about and kind of think about, man. Unless it's a for sure thing, in which that very rarely comes around. I mean, Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be a for sure thing, and he has struggled this year, right? Now, I think he's going to be really good. That offense has been all over the place, and Urban Meyer was a train wreck, but there's no sure things, especially with the quarterback. The quarterback relies so much on the right coaching, offensive line, weapons, all of that. I mean, it's a roll of the dice. It really is. So let's take a look at our third round. Put that up here. And we can see, I really like third round picks. I try to load up on them. You can see these names, the Cooper Kupps, the Deontay Johnsons, Terry McLaurin, Kenny Galladay, DJ Chark had a great year that one year. Mark Andrews, James Conner, Alexander Madison. I mean, there's a lot of value to be had in the third round. And even in the fourth round, the Aaron Joneses of the world. Dawson Knox, Myles Gaskin, Chase Edmonds, Hunter Renfrow has been great this year. And then Jonnu Smith. And then obviously, I'll put this sad little stat up for you guys. You can see fifth round, we've already talked about. It's Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz. But we can see these are the players that were hits in these drafts. Obviously, I'm not surprised, going from 17 to 12 to 8 to 6 to 2 in terms of the hit rates from rounds 1 through 5. But there's a lot of trends here that I'm noticing that I find interesting. Quarterbacks outside of round 2, we are not touching them. Do not waste your draft picks. Receivers outside of rounds, 2 and 3, well, 1 through 3, but reaching on them in the 4th and 5th rounds, there's a 1 in 17 chance you're going to hit. Avoid it. Running backs in the 5th round, 1 out of 19, avoid it. Like running backs in the 4th round, they'll have a better chance than running backs in the 2nd round. So RBs in the 2nd round, avoid it. Receivers in the 3rd round have a great hit rate, 33%. I mean, that's where we have to target them at. So this data kind of allows us, it gives us a tool, another tool in our tool belt to see, hey, you know what? I'm in the 3rd round. I have 4 picks in the 3rd round. I've got 2 receivers that are sitting here, 3rd round ADP, and I've got 4 quarterbacks sitting here, and I've got, 6 running backs, whatever the situation may be. You should target those receivers based on the data, based on what we're seeing. Receivers get pushed into the 3rd round because running backs have this super inflated artificial value that always pushes them up in drafts. Always. We have to stop falling into those traps. 2nd round running backs do not pan out according to this, what we're seeing, what we're looking at. Now, this data may change. I'll do the same video again next year and we can continue it out. But right now, that's what it's telling us. So that's our Superflex version, Dynamo Nation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Took me some time to put this one together. Getting the Superflex data was a little bit more difficult, actually, than getting the IDP data. I was surprised by that. So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you got anything out of it, you enjoyed this content, you like stuff like this, hit that subscribe button. That's how I know to keep pumping stuff out. Comment down below. See if any of this stuff surprised you. So, all right, Dynamo Nation, that's it. I'll see you guys next time.